This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast and the first special episode since we have changed the name. As I said a few weeks ago, we will be posting much more content with previews, quizzes and many other types of episodes. But today I am joined by someone who spent over 5 years at the club between 2014 and 19, making his way through the academy, set up and into the first team. Luke Molyneux is with me. How are you getting on, mate? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Good. Getting by. As we all are these days.
Yeah, definitely.
And I hate to be boring, but it's been going on for 13 months or so now, and things still haven't changed. So, How are you finding lockdown?
Not too bad. Obviously, it could be a lot better, but obviously playing football helps a lot. So, got that routine of going to training every day, and obviously with a lot of games, so it's actually not as bad as probably a lot of people. So, yeah.
How's the whole pandemic affected you as a player? Because obviously last season was affected the most, but preparation for this season will have been shorter. Just how's it all been for you?
Yeah, obviously the season's been really weird, to be fair. I think we've had a lot more games and the season's been pretty much all over the place, and whether not knowing whether the season's going to continue or what, to be fair, because obviously the league below us obviously got cancelled, null and void. So obviously we didn't know whether that was going to happen to us, especially with how well we were doing. So, and obviously, especially with the games as well, all the games are being pushed back. So usually at this point in the season, we probably would only have about 10 games left or something. Probably not even that. So to still say that we've got about 18 games left at this point in the season is a lot.
And obviously, we will get into talking about your time at Sunderland very shortly, but you are currently at Hartlepool, third in the table, and very similar to League One, League Two in terms of different teams having played more than others, but less than someone else. And I always say at this stage, it's always difficult to really look at the table and make any assumptions, but you must be somewhat pleased with how the season's going so far.
Yeah, we've been doing really well. I think a lot of people might have been surprised how well we've been doing, because I think the previous years we haven't been this high in the table, like with the finishers. Obviously, I think last year when the gaffer first came in, toward the back end of the season, obviously before coronavirus and stuff that ended the season, we were progressing really well. We were on form. We were looking towards the playoffs, and obviously the season got cut short, so it killed us a bit. But this season we've been really consistent. We've been getting a lot of good results, and we're right up there. We've got a big game on Saturday. To be fair, we're playing Torquay on Saturday, who are top of the league. That'll be a massive game for us. But the team's been performing well, and we've got a very good squad this year. A lot of different players from last year that we've brought in. But we're doing really well.
Yeah, it must be difficult, as you've said. Games getting pushed back. You're playing a lot more games in a short space of time. It must be a lot harder to recover nowadays.
Yeah, it's a lot of Saturday, Tuesday games. Obviously, we've been quite lucky with the COVID situation. We've haven't had too much stuff. Not a lot has affected us with the games. Obviously, a lot of other teams have had plenty of games called off. So we've played most of our games. We haven't really had many called off. But still, there's Saturday, Tuesday every week. There's no Tuesday where we don't play really. So I think the fact with the squad depth that we've got helps massively as well. So the gaffer's been rotating it a lot recently between games. Obviously, can't expect players to be playing week in, week out, 90 minutes, giving it everything without feeling a bit in the legs. So I think the squad depth has helped a lot with us. Yeah, like I said, we've been handling it really well and getting the results we need.
Yeah. Well, moving on to your time at Sunderland, and as I said earlier, you've spent many years at the club, through the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
Obviously, many years in the Premier League until things went wrong. Really, we find ourselves where we are now. But as a young player coming through the academy, training with the first team, how much did you learn from the senior lads at the club that in a few years' time, even now, you'll look back on as something that's helped you progress?
Yeah, obviously, when I think I must have been about around 17 years old, probably 17, 18, when I probably first had my taste of like training with the first team and stuff. Obviously, when they were in the Premier League, there was obviously players like Jermaine Defoe, John O'Shea, Wes Brown. They were obviously big impact on me, especially like John O'Shea and Wes Brown. They were great with like the younger lads. They were always talking to you, like helping you out, and if you ever did get the chance to like train with them, they would always be the ones to come over and talk to you, so you weren't left out. And then obviously like to train with players like Jermaine Defoe was just like mental. Like obviously like being a young lad, and he's obviously a legend. Like the stuff he's done throughout his whole career. To actually just even train with him and watch how he trains and conducts himself is a big thing, and you can just see like how well he's done in his career, and you can see that like from how well he trains every day and just how he conducts himself.
Yeah. And one thing that people always said about Jermaine Defoe when they trained with him, and even now, and I think he's approaching 40 now, I think, playing in Scotland. But despite his age, he was always one of the fittest people at training.
Yeah.
Like, is that how you saw it?
Yeah, definitely. He was by far one of the sharpest players in that team. Like, considering, I'm not sure what age he was when he was at Sunderland. He must have been like 30s. But he could, even in training, you could see how sharp he was. And he was always, every time he got the ball, he knew something was going to happen. And his finishing was just ridiculous. I think everyone knew that. You can see that throughout his career. But he would do it day in, day out, and like in training. And he would always do a lot of extra and practice a lot. I remember because when we used to train, it used to be like me, and obviously there was Josh Madger there and Joel. And they would always do a lot of finishing after training. And I know Jermaine Defoe took a big liking to Josh.
Yeah.
Because they were quite similar players, like with the finishing. They were both good finishers with both feet. And I think Madge especially learnt a lot from Defoe, to be fair.
Yeah. Obviously, we had a lot of managers in recent years, possibly too many. Sam Allardyce, David Moyes, Chris Coleman. There was plenty of others during that time. But was there any in particular you enjoyed with working the most?
To be fair, the one who probably was the best for me, who seemed to take most of the liking to me, was actually Dick Advocat.
Yeah.
So to be fair, because he used to always bring me up to train, but I was quite young at this point. This was when I was like really young. I was about 17, 18. But he used to always call me up to train, and he always used to say "my boy" every time I used to train. So I think he took a bit of a liking to me. But then obviously not long after that, obviously got the sack, and it's hard when, especially being a young player, when new managers come in.
Yeah.
Because especially when they first come in, they usually look at the experienced players. They'll look at the squad they have. So as soon as a new manager comes in, they don't usually always call up the younger lads to train. They like to keep the squad they have. But yeah, like even like Sam Allardyce, he was good with the kids as well. Like he gave a lot of debuts out to like a few of my mates, like Reece Greenwood and Tommy Robson. He gave debuts out of them, so he was also good with the younger lads.
Yeah. And obviously, when you're at a club like Sunderland, as you've said, there's a new manager every, probably about 9 months or so. How does that affect the entire club and like the morale of the players? Because you get used to the ways of one manager, you enjoy working with him, you learn how he wants to play, and then before you know it, there's someone new through the door with a completely different way of playing. And do you think that's contributed to where Sunderland find themselves now, just the lack of stability and just not sticking with one manager?
Maybe, yeah, but I think at times, a new manager is what helps the club, and they've just been like, obviously they've got a good manager at the moment, Lee Johnson, but I think they've had to go through a lot to get to this point, and they're just trying to find the right man for the job. And I think obviously it is hard when the club was going on a bit of a decline. So I think it's hard, especially when you look at like the job of like what David Moyes did at Sunderland, and then you look at him now when he's at West Ham and he's flying.
Yeah.
I think it's just sometimes it's just hard. But obviously when the new managers come in, and it was felt like it was pretty much every season a new manager would come in. Obviously they bring all the new own staff, and like it's just the vibe of the whole place is just completely changes, because you don't really know when they first come in, you don't know what they're going to be like. You don't know how strict they are. You don't know, like, it's a bit tense around the academy at first, but I think any player, if you should be able to deal with it, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well,
So obviously, as you just mentioned, there was a lot of young players come through the academy at the same time as you. You know, Jordan Pickford, he only really started playing first team football in the last few years of when we went to the Premier League. You've got George, Lyndon, Josh, Joel, you know, all came through at the same time. Was that just an example of how promising our academy was at that stage?
Yeah, it was. It was really good, obviously, with 23s and stuff. We were flying at one point. I remember I must have been 17, 18, just coming up to the 23s. And they had a really good 23s. It was like Reece Greenwood, there was Lyndon, there was George. I think Pickford was like round 23s, like first team. But we were winning like everything, really. We were like winning most of our games. We were right up there. I think we finished second one season by like a point or something to Man United.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a really strong team, and we had a lot of players coming through at this point. And I think the fact that obviously, we were in the Premier League at the time, which probably made it a bit harder for the young lads to come through, as there's obviously a lot more pressure on staying in the league, so they're not going to risk the younger players as much as maybe if it was like a team that's safe or a team that's like doing really well. It's probably harder for us to come through. So obviously there was a lot of players who have been released now, who obviously did make the debuts at Sunderland, and I think maybe things might have been different if the club was in like a different situation, and I think a lot of the players could have still been there.
Yeah. And obviously, you've mentioned them before, but you look at the likes of Jordan, you look at the likes of Josh, both getting first team football in the Premier League. Obviously, Jordan's number one for England now. You know, you were training with some of these lads every day. Was there any doubt that they would reach the height that they have now?
No, for me, no doubt. For especially Josh, I've always said it. Like I've said it to my family, like since when I was training with him, like every day and stuff. Like I knew Josh was going to make it to the top. Like he just had that bit of like all the lads work hard, but Madge was just like fully focused. He would do a lot of shooting practicing, but he was also like, I think everyone's seen how technically he's probably one of the best players I've played with, to be honest. And I've not seen many, apart from obviously maybe Defoe, there's not many players with better finishing than Madge. Both feet, it's just ridiculous.
Because he could literally turn anywhere and shoot, and it would go in the bottom corner.
Technically, he was ridiculous, like on a different level. He was always destined to be a Premier League player, in my opinion. I've always said it for a long time. And obviously with Pickford, he's been through the ranks. Like at England, he's played every age group. I think he was another player that was always going to be destined to be a Premier League player.
Yeah. Well, you made your full debut in 2018.
Yeah.
Obviously, last game of the season against Wolves. A game that we won 3-0, and I believe we finished that season as what I think was the only side that Wolves didn't actually beat, which was something that not many would have expected. I think they managed to beat every other side in the league at least once, but I think we drew with them in the first game and obviously beat them in the last one. But, you know, relegation had already been confirmed. Coleman had been sacked. But at the same time, there'd been a change of ownership. There was optimism around the place. What was it like to make your full debut in them circumstances?
Yeah, it was pretty mental, to be fair. Well, at first, I wasn't actually meant to be starting. I was just meant to be on the bench And then Kaz Lualua got injured in the warm-up. So, but even then, even though he got injured in the warm-up, I still didn't think I would have been starting because there was players like Madge. Madge was on the bench. There was Callum McManaman. So I thought, he's just going to throw them straight in. But obviously Robbie was the manager that day. And I heard a shout while I was warming up. He just called me over and just went, "You're going to be starting." So I literally had about 5 minutes to get my head around it. And get ready and just go out there. And like my parents and that were there. They didn't have a clue I was starting. They just knew I was on the bench. And then they just seen me walk out with the team. And it was an immense feeling, to be fair, to just walk out there in front of must have been 30,000 people.
Yeah.
To make my debut, and obviously they couldn't really have gone much better, beating obviously the champions the way we did. And it was a really good feeling.
Yeah. Obviously, as a whole, the season didn't go as planned. No one's going to say it did. It was a poor season from Sunderland's point of view. But in a way, when relegation was confirmed, was it kind of just a game where you could go out, express yourself, have fun, as you always get told when you were a kid, and go out, enjoy yourself. And, we ended up winning the game pretty comfortably. I think it could have been 5 or 6-0, if I remember correctly.
I think that's what you need to do, especially when it's your debut. You need to just go out there and just show what you're about. Obviously, we had a few young lads on the bench as well who came on and made the debut. So I think it was the same for all of us. So I think by the end of the game, there was about 3 or 4 of us, all who are used to playing together for 23s. So I think by the end of the game, we were a really young team. So it just felt normal at one point. I remember just being on the left and then having Denver behind me, which was just normal. We'd been playing throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
But then there was also young lads like obviously Ashley Fletcher, who was a really good lad who got on with all the lads, and they help. That players like that help you a lot. Like with John O'Shea as well, they help you a lot when it comes down to making your debut and being around the first team. Like I said before, they talk to you the full time and they keep encouraging you. So players like that will help you a lot.
Yeah, because obviously Barley came on in the second half as well, didn't he? And obviously,
Barley did. Yeah,
took the captain's armband and that. It was just a good day for the club in general, really, wasn't it? Obviously, you'd made your full debut. Barley had came on, took the captain's armband. I think he was 16 at the time when he did that.
Yeah,
it was a good day for everyone, really, despite the circumstances.
Yeah, it was a really good day. I think there wasn't really anything to complain about. Obviously, the club had been relegated, but on the day, there's not really a lot you could say went wrong. It was just a really good result, and to give the young lads obviously there was about 3 or 4 of us their debuts. It was obviously massive for the club, and hopefully it was a good step forward. Obviously a lot of change now. Players are in and out, but obviously it's a thing that I'll never forget.
Yeah. Well, obviously Stuart Donald came in as chairman a week before the game, and obviously now he has no involvement with the club in terms of the decisions that he made. And I think to say 99% of Sunderland fans are happy about that would probably be an understatement. But many decisions he made didn't really benefit the club. Players who were here at the time would describe him and Methven as a chancer, someone who didn't really know anything about football. At the time when he took over and the takeover was confirmed, was there any kind of worries in the back of the players' mind that, things might not go to plan?
I'm not too sure. To be honest, I didn't really know much about him at the time, so I wasn't too sure what he was all about. You didn't see him too much around the place. But also I was on loan that first season. I think I played the first 3 or 4 games, and then I tried to go out on loan to get regular football. But then as soon as I had gone out on loan, Stuart Donald had already made the decision on what players he was going to keep and who he was obviously going to get not offering new deals to, for the younger players. Which I later realised on the documentary when they had, I remember them having a meeting about who they were going to offer new contracts and stuff with Stuart Donald and that. And this was like at the start of the season, and that's when I noticed definitely wasn't on his radar. Yeah.
So you found out from Netflix before you found out from the club?
No, I'd found out through Netflix about Stuart Donald having that meeting at the start of the season about who's gonna. Cause I seen on the documentary they were talking about like giving Max a new deal and giving Embo a new deal, and this was right at the start of the season. I don't think he'd been in very long, and not much had really happened in the season. And my name wasn't involved at all, even though I had been playing a few games. So I feel like then I didn't even have much of a chance to even, like, whether I went out on loan or not, they seemed to have already made their decision on what was going to happen with the younger lads.
Yeah.
Because
obviously one of the things that a lot of Sunderland fans I say hate Stuart Donald for was obviously the contract situations at the club. You know, you go back to League One, John McLaughlin, who, you know, if he was still here now, would easily be the best keeper in the league. Obviously, going back to Josh Madger, which I think Charlie Methven did some sort of interview, and he turned around and said, actually, we were kind of to blame for that when, he was trying to switch it around to lie to the fans, really. But what was it like dealing with the ownership in terms of, wanting a new deal, wanting to go out on loan? Was it as straightforward as, you'd like it to be, or was it a bit difficult?
For me, within going out on loan, it was quite simple. It was mainly, I don't think it was really mainly the owners who did that and got involved in that. I remember just one day finishing training, and I got a call off Kevin Ball, and just asked to meet up. And because we used to meet up regularly, me and Kevin Ball, we used to meet up like every week and just have a chat. And he just rang me saying, basically just saying, you need to be going out and playing men's football. He was like, obviously I was sat on the bench, like coming on now and then for the first team, but he was said that at my age I needed to be playing regular, week in, week out, playing every game. So he said that Gateshead had came in for me to go out on loan. So it was mainly Bally who mentioned everything and got everything sorted. So that was done within like a couple of days. I think it was literally the last day of the transfer window, which just sent me straight out at Gateshead. And then I remember coming back after a good half a season at Gateshead. I had a pretty good half season, played quite a lot, scored a few, and then came back hoping to get back involved with the first team. And there was that game. The first game was the Newcastle game when the first team played the 23s. I think I can't remember what the score was now, but I think we battered them it was like 5-0 or something. So that was like my first game back, and I played a bit of that, and then I thought, oh well, I might get another chance to be back involved. And I remember Bally ringing me again, with a few days left of the transfer window again, saying, "Oh, Hartlepool want you, come on loan." And I thought at the time, what would be like the best option? I thought, all right, I'll go back out on loan, get some more games under my belt. I thought that was the most important thing at the time.
Yeah. And
then hopefully perform well on my loan, hopefully come back to Sunderland and get offered a new deal. But I did have a very good season on loan at Hartlepool. And then when I came back to Sunderland, I'd spoke with Jack Ross and everything, and everything was fine on his end. Like, I got on well with Jack Ross and James Fowler. Got on really well with them. We used to talk a lot. Me and Fowler still talk quite a bit now. But I remember going in for a meeting with Jack Ross, and he basically said he had no control over it, who was getting a new deal, or it was literally nothing to do with him. Because I remember asking him, I was like, asking what the crack is, whether I'm going to be staying or what, and he was just said it's basically down to the ownership, and he has nothing to do with any of that. So I found out, I think the season had just finished. It wasn't long after the Wembley game, because I went to Wembley.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a letter in the post just off Sunderland, just to say they're not renewing my contract, and that was the end of it, really.
Yeah. Obviously, you look at some of the young players now, like in the Premier League, in the Championship, and even some of the ones at Sunderland now. Obviously, you've got like Dan Neil, Jack Diamond, who are involved in the squad, but not really getting first-team football. You went out on loan when you were quite young, played a lot of football then. How important do you think it is for players around your age, to get first-team football, even if it is at a lower club, just to get the experience of playing men's football as opposed to, playing against an under-18, under-23 side?
I think it's massive. I think it's one of the biggest things. I regret when I was younger. I wish I went out sooner. I wish I went out on loan sooner and got more games. I know at the time when I was a bit younger, and it was harder back then when they were in the Prem to go out on loan, because the managers were changing a lot, and they wouldn't really let you go out on loan as much. It was because you were stuck in the middle between 23s and first team. You were pretty much stuck there, so it was hard to. If they needed you, they needed you, and if they didn't, they didn't. You couldn't really get out on loan. But I think it's massive for young players, especially at my age or just a bit younger, to be playing men's football. I think 23s helps to an extent, but I think playing men's football at a young age is what you need to be doing, because it gets you ready for when you get out of that 23 stage and you don't get as big as a shock as you would if you hadn't played at all. So obviously there's a lot of lads that I know who haven't played as many games in the 23s. Haven't played as many first team games like men's football, which I think they will regret in the long run. As I feel like the more games you get under your belt, the better, basically.
Yeah.
And you're not getting any younger, really, are you? So you need to get them in.
Yeah. Well, as I say, we are in League One now. It's our third season in League One, albeit last season was cut short. Sit fourth in the table. Do you ever get the chance to sit down and watch any of the games so far this season?
I've watched a few, yeah. Whenever Sunderland are on the telly, I like to put it on. Obviously, it's a bit hard when I'm playing at the same time, because obviously Saturday, Tuesday games are usually all play at the same time. But I watched the game against Hull when they were on the TV. I watched that game, but usually even like after our games, I'm straight on my phone looking at what the results are, how Sunderland have done, hoping they're doing well. And obviously at the moment they've been flying, haven't they? So they're doing really well. Obviously Charlie's been flying, getting all the goals in. He's always been capable of that. You've seen his records at previous clubs. Obviously, I think he was a bit unlucky last year. Didn't get as many he didn't get many as he'd like to. But obviously, this year he's been shown as like true quality, and hopefully he keeps flying.
Yeah. And obviously, just quickly touching on Charlie there. Obviously, he was here, I believe, in our first season in League One. He come under a lot of criticism from fans because he wasn't scoring goals. And I think I tweeted something earlier in the season. I'm not sure who it was against, but the game that he scored 4 goals, he scored more goals in half an hour in that game than he did in the last 2 seasons. But when you go back to his first season, obviously you weren't around for too long then, but you were training with him. You'd seen some of the games, you'd played in some of the games with him. How much of a boost do you think confidence actually is in football? If you get a few goals, you're now 24.
Confidence is massive. Yeah, confidence is one of the biggest parts of football, I think. Now that he's got all this confidence, you can see when he's playing, everything he touches is pretty much going in.
Yeah.
But it's massive because he's probably doing things that now that he probably wouldn't have done when his confidence was low. I think especially for like a player in my position, like a winger, so like McGeady or whatever, to have that confidence is huge. I think to be able to take a man on and to do the skills he does and the quality he possesses, you need to be confident to do that. Obviously, you've got a lot of technical players in the team with McGeady, Jack Diamond, John Jones. I think their confidence in the team will boost everyone around them as well. And obviously, especially when you get the results that Sunderland have been getting, I think the only way is up at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I will move into the final part, which I did mention the other day. Short quiz.
Here we go.
I'll give you 4 questions about you on some on your time at the club, and then 2 general knowledge questions.
Right.
And we will be doing this every time we do get someone on. So
Right.
we'll see who is
Probably the
smartest,
worst.
I suppose. Well, I'll go over your first question. And your first question is: obviously, you made your full debut against Wolves.
Yeah.
Who scored the goals for Sunderland on that day?
Oh, Fletcher.
Yeah.
Ejaria.
Yeah.
I think Fletcher got 2, didn't he? Ejaria got 1. Oh, Paddy. No. Oh, no. I think Fletch got 2 and Jari got 1. Or it was either Fletch, Jari and Paddy. Am I wrong?
Which one are you going with?
Is one of them's right there?
One of them's right.
I think Fletch got 2 and Jari
Right,
got
1.
1.
Answer?
Yeah.
Paddy McNair got 1.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah. So 0 so far. In that game, you wore the number 52 shirt.
Yeah.
Only one other player has worn this shirt for Sunderland. Who is it?
Oh. 52. Who else would have wore 52? Who's made their debut? Yeah.
Just number 52. Could be a senior player.
52. I don't have a clue.
A Danish striker.
No. You're going to say it and I know it's Bentner or something.
Yeah, Nicholas Bentner.
Was it? I don't know. Why is he 52?
I don't know. He's been 52 at a few clubs he's played at.
Has he?
Yeah, he was 52.
Would never have guessed that.
Only other player to wear it as well. This could be an easier one, depending on where you have the shirt. But who was our shirt sponsor during the championship season?
Oh, I've got the shirt right here, but it's only the back of the shirt.
Back of it.
Yeah, let me have a check. I've got it right here, but that utilita, that won't be it, will it?
Just the front sponsor, the main sponsor.
Oh no! Wait, I'm actually going to try and see if I've got one. I'm actually going to. Oh no, it won't be them, will it? It won't be better. I'm just going to have to go better, but I don't think that's right. Oh no! Wait! Oh yeah. You've said it now. I was just literally. I've got a drawer full of like all my old shirts.
Yep.
I kept pulling out the league. I kept pulling out the league ones and obviously my championship ones.
I think Beck was. Might have been
Beck was League One.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Right. The last question about you and your career is: you made your Hartlepool debut in January of 2019. Who was the opponent and what was the score?
Oh, can't believe I don't even know these questions. My memory is horrendous. Who was my first game? Oh, Harrogate. And what was the score, did you say?
Yeah.
Was it 4-2?
Is that what you're going with?
I'm going to go with 4-2, yeah.
It was 3-2.
Oh my god! I remember we scored 2, but I can't remember if I knew we got beat as well.
Yeah,
it
was 3-2.
3-2 or 4-2. I remember the goals as well.
You're gonna have to get these general knowledge ones right.
I must be miles behind, yeah.
I'll give you half a point for the Bentner one because you said it before I said his name.
So I get 1 point overall. Half a point for Harrogate.
Yeah, we'll do that. You have 1 point. And these are the 2 general knowledge questions. And I've already told you one of these is about a movie. One of them's about flags.
Flags. Oh,
Yeah. And the flag one is, what colour is found on 75% of world flags?
What colour?
This colour is on 75% of flags.
I'm going to go with white.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
What would your second answer have been? It's red.
Yeah. It would be, wouldn't it? It'd be red or white.
Yeah.
I thought
Red.
white must be up there then. Surely white is up there.
I presume so. I'm trying to think what flags have red that don't have white, to be fair.
That's what I'm thinking.
France have red and white,
That's
England.
what I was thinking. France,
Denmark.
England. That's what I was thinking. Literally all them nations.
I'm trying to think what actually doesn't have white in that has red. Serbia, Russia. I don't know. I'm going to have to find it after. Anyway, this is the last one. This is about a movie. So you've got 2 half points so far. You've got 1 point.
Nightmare.
The last one is, fear can hold you prisoner, hope can set you free, is a tagline from which famous movie?
Fear can hold you prisoner. What was it? Fear can hold you prisoner.
Hope can set you free.
I feel like I'll have watched the film as well.
Quite possibly.
I'm going to go for, I think I'm miles off it here. Shutter Island. But I reckon I'm miles off it.
It starts with an SH. Well, it actually starts with the, but it's a SH. 3 words.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, to be fair, I
is.
wasn't even that far off.
You weren't too far.
That's a tough one. I actually haven't even seen the film, to be honest.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
No, I actually haven't even seen the film.
I've heard of it a few times, but I've never seen it. But you got 1 out of
I've had a nightmare.
7.
I said before, I said I wasn't going to do
1 out
very
of 6,
well.
sorry.
Right, I'll take it.
half a point for Bentner and half a point for Harrogate.
Oh, I said I wasn't going to do very well in any quiz.
Well, you have got the highest score so far.
Because I'm the only person.
So far, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least I'm top of the leaderboard.
You are. You're also bottom.
Yeah.
But we'll see who else we get on. We'll see how they compare with the similar type of questions. But that is all we have time for today. I appreciate you coming on, Luke.
No problem.
We will have a match preview, I should say, up later on today when you're listening to this. And of course, reaction to Saturday's game against Rochdale on Sunday. But until then, we will see you later.
That's all, folks.